Good evening, everyone, both live and virtual. My name's Jason Armero. I run a company called Blackbird Finery, where I sell antique and vintage gentlemen's accessories. Now, in doing my research for the accessories, I stumbled across pharmaceutical trade publications, so drugstore industry magazines from the turn of the previous century. And they often had columns on how to run your soda fountain. And the best part of those soda fountain uh, columns were the formulas for the sodas that they would make. And I'm going to demonstrate some for you tonight. Since this is the Afterlife, I have renamed some of the sodas. So the first one is one that was called the Outlook Highball, that I am calling the Purgatory Punch. And this one's fairly simple. You take, it says a 12-ounce glass, 2/3 full of cracked ice, and I have some regular ice cubes here. So that'll work for 2/3 full. You add in all of the syrups here, and I went ahead and just did them so I could speed things up. But it's 1 ounce of cherry syrup. Throw that in, and I actually used just the syrup from some maraschino cherries.
Okay. Well, maraschino cherries aren't actually cherry flavored, though, right?
It's enough cherry for it to work.
You're like almond flavored, I think.
Wants 2 of grape juice. So it's 2 ounces grape juice. And then 1 ounce of pineapple syrup. And then instead of shaking or mixing, you just add the carbonated water to it. And for the demos, I like to use Sifo soda, pure seltzer, unflavored. And what I like about the little glass bottles is you can get some pressure with your thumb over the bottle. Whoop, there goes one earbud. But you can do this. Be careful pulling it off. But that gets you a nice little head of foam that you can't get if you just pour it straight. Fix my technical issue. Now, normally it would say you add a slice of fresh orange in the center with a green cherry, but slicing up fruit is going to slow me down, and I couldn't find any green cherries that were not lime flavored. So we'll skip that garnish for now, but we can put an actual cherry in it, at least one of these. Although that kind of sinks without the orange. In any case, that's your Purgatory Punch that would be known as the Outlook Highball originally. And since I have not made these before, I'm going to try a little. I like that. Pineapple's a little sharp, which is nice. So put those out of the way. I have on the chair here some of these handouts. I may not have enough for everybody, but it's the formulas plus my sources listed at the bottom of each one. This first one came from a magazine called The Pharmaceutical Era. And this one was the March 1910 issue. So well over 100 years, this is what they would serve you if you went into a soda fountain in a drugstore and asked for an Outlook Highball. Now, I don't know, depending on the fountain, the menus may have what's in them, or it just may be the name. So you could be asking for one, not knowing what's in it. I think that's both fun and scary. So the next one we're doing is one that was originally called a Glad We're Here, but I refer to as the Danse Macabre. And this one, let's see how it's built. Mixing glass. Oh, yeah. So I have hiding here in a cooler some of the stuff that I need. So milk, cream, egg white, and some whipped cream for later. But this one needs the heavy cream. So I like using these disposable cocktail shakers. A, if I make a mess, I can just throw them away. And B, you can see what things look like as they're being mixed. So in this case, we start with the strawberry syrup. And if you notice, I use either Monin or Torani. It's whatever I can get my hands on. I don't have a particular preference. It depends on which flavors you prefer. I just haven't had a chance to line them all up and say, try all of the strawberries back to back. So it's 3/4 ounce of both the strawberry and the pineapple. So these are 1 ounce little mixing glasses. And it's nice to be able to just do your 3/4. I'll start with that. So that's the strawberry. And I'll put it back over here. Pick up the pineapple again. I'll just use the same mixing. These are basically medicinal little potion or portion cups, little dosing things, but because they are measured, they make it really easy for me to use them. So it's strawberry and pineapple. Your so 1 ounce of sweet cream. Where did that go? So I'll use a no, I'll just go and use this one for the cream. And since this was cold, it's not been opened. And that's a full ounce. And when it calls for sweet cream, I like using heavy whipping cream because it's full fat and it's got a really silky mouthfeel to it. So we'll put that in. And the other interesting thing on this one is a dash of Angostura bitters. And they actually used a lot of these in some of the sodas. So I'm just gonna, just a little dash. And then probably what you're not expecting for something like this, if I can find it down here. So there it is. A hopefully not too melted vanilla ice cream that actually has a ton of ice on the top. There we go. So I'm not even going to use a full scoop. Oh, yeah, that's what I was afraid of. So dollop of ice cream. I'll put it back on ice so it can continue to frustrate me and melt. So bitters, pineapple syrup, sweet cream, strawberry syrup, vanilla ice cream, shake well. So we do this. Actually, did it ask for? No, it didn't ask for any ice. So If it was shaken with ice, you would strain it. But since there's no ice in here, it's safe enough to just pour it straight. And then from here, um, shake well, 12-ounce glass, a little carbonated water, and it's this calm strain that gives you work.
Jason, just as a heads up, I think for some reason your audio got more quiet.
That I lost. These are new, so I probably have the wrong size little tips on them. That happens with new things. What else did it say? Well, add a little carbonated water and enough ice cream to fill the glass. So
Then it's mostly ice cream.
at this point, I can just pour some over. Ooh, not that much, since it's melted, but it's very interesting. There was an early book on running your soda fountain, and for whatever reason, the gentleman who wrote the book didn't like the idea of having ice cream as a part of the soda fountain. He wrote this nice long screed on why you should not have ice cream in your fountain. And now we think of milkshakes and with ice cream and your floats and as ice cream sodas, when he just thought that was ridiculous. So this is the Glad We're Here. And this is another one that I've not had a chance to taste test. So I'll grab these little, okay, I'll grab 3 of these little ones. Yum. That's actually really interesting. I wouldn't have thought some of those flavors would work well together, particularly with the bitters added to it, but that's not bad. Any questions at the moment before I go too far?
Not on our end, I don't think.
So no questions from the virtual peanut gallery,
Unless
but
you want to tell me what a
here,
green
sir.
cherry is.
Get the that kind of club soda.
Pardon? I actually got this at Publix. And that's, you can find, I mean, there are plenty of unflavored seltzers out there. I like these because they're in the little glass bottles. More often than not, you'll get like a 1 liter that's in a plastic, and you can't get the same pressure out of a plastic container like you can the glass. You can also, you can get, carbonated water out of your soda stream, or you can use a classic soda siphon, which is a glass, or these days more often than not an aluminum container, but you fill it full of very cold water and you charge it with the CO2 cartridge, and that forces the gas into the water, carbonating. Very, very early carbonation systems used a mixture of chemicals to do the carbonation. If you've ever read any Sherlock Holmes, they mention he had a gasogene in 221B Baker Street. That was a device that had 2 glass globes. You'd put water in one, you'd put a mixture of tartaric acid and baking soda in the other. When the water hit that would generate carbon dioxide, and it would force carbonate the water. And then you would use that to mix your scotch and soda or whatever you needed the carbonated water for. The original carbonating things for your soda fountains, you would actually have someone who was pouring hydrochloric acid over marble dust. That would generate the carbon dioxide that they would use to carbonate the water.
Jason, we have a couple of questions.
Uh-oh.
Do you ever use antique seltzer-style bottles, and do they change the flavor or mouthfeel?
It's a good question. Do I ever use antique style, the actual soda siphons, and do they change the flavor of what it is I'm making? I've not actually used an old one yet. The one I have is very thick glass and it's got a wire mesh on the outside. The wire mesh is because they had a tendency to explode if they were over pressurized. That's why I'm somewhat reluctant to try the one I've got. I've only used a modern soda siphon so
Definitely
far.
change the mouthfeel, yeah.
Yeah, and the older ones would. What was interesting is the one that I got from an antique mall still had water in the bottom. And it was clean water. It wasn't funky or anything like that. So someone had been using it. But I'm hesitant to, I'd have to sterilize the heck out of it first and then, make sure that a normal cartridge would fit the nozzle. And it looks like it does. But this one I think is from either the 40s or 50s. So it's not old, but it's old enough.
And we
And
have
was there
another
another
question
virtual?
that is,
Okay.
are there specific types of bitters that are better in your opinion than other ones? From what I understand, bitters can be made from any number of ingredients.
Asking if there's any specific bitters that I prefer, because there are flavor differences in flavor profiles between bitters because they can be made from all different substances. I've only used the Angostura so far because that's what most of these formulas call for. But I've been wanting to experiment with some others. Now that I know that these don't affect me or hurt me, I'm allergic to alcohol. So I tend to avoid most of the things that have alcohol in them. I've been able to work with the Angostura okay. So that's not been a problem for me. Any other questions before I skip on to the next? Yes, ma'am.
They mixed it with marble dust?
Marble dust and hydrochloric acid. And that's what generated the carbon dioxide.
Okay to ingest or?
Well, but you're not ingesting
Okay.
the acid or the marble dust. That's creating the gas that it is forced through the water. Right.
No particles.
Correct. It's just the gas that's generated. Yeah. So the next on my list is the what is normally called a cream puff or the cloud of hereafter. And this is the one I realized after I'd put all of these together that none of them actually had chocolate in them. And that's a sin. There has to be at least one chocolate flavored item. So this is where you take 1 ounce of whatever syrup you like. You put it in a glass, fill half the glass with carbonated water. You take another glass, the same size, half full of whipped cream, and you just mix them back and forth. So I'm going to use one of these and one of these. So in this case, I want 1 ounce of chocolate syrup. So I normally like really thick chocolate sauces instead of thin syrups. So,
Does the whipped cream sort of make it thick?
huh?
Wouldn't the whipped cream make it thick?
A little bit, but we'll see how it works. So, is this? Nope. That's empty. So I will need. Got to have a trash can other than my cart over there. So, put one of these. So just, it says about half. So we'll do that. And then this, I'm cheating because I'm just using whipped cream in a can. You can whip cream the exact same way you can carbonate water with a siphon. If you go to like a Starbucks or something and they're using, oh, well, that didn't break clean. If you get whipped cream for something, and I lost the earbud. Technical difficulties. One moment, please. There it is. They can't hear me as well when half my audio goes. So got to get that back in. So what I was saying is it's the exact same type of siphon. And just instead of putting water in it and charging it with CO2, you put heavy whipping cream. And you can put like a little vanilla or whatever in with the cream to give it some flavor. But then it operates the same way. You charge it with a little 10-ounce CO2 cartridge. In this case, I'm cheating because it's faster and easier. So about half full, since this is new. Yeah.
Kelp is saying that she has a whipped cream maker because of your panels.
Oh, so online, somebody's saying they do have a whipped cream maker because of my panels. So I'm just gonna pour this back and forth. Actually, it's probably better to use a wider mouth. I need to go a little more to get the actual more of the chocolate in it. That's why I prefer the thicker sauces instead of. So, and actually, yes, this is basically called a cream puff. Is the original name, and you can use whatever syrup you like. It's just I like chocolate. And in this case, because it's so thick, I'm going to cheat just a little. I'm going to go for a bar spoon. I'm just going to mix that up a little to get it off the bottom. And then I learned you can twist this to mix things, but you can also pour carbonated beverages into a drink along the spoon, and the twist will keep it from foaming up. It'll deliver it into your beverage without just, pouring and having to deal with all of the extra froth. In this case, though, we really want the froth. So yeah, that looks better. So let's toss it another once or twice. Yeah, that's what you want. There we go. So, well, do that. Try this a little. Oh, that looks good. Ooh, man, that is good. Really, really foamy and frothy. Normally I let y'all taste these, but that one might be just mine. We'll see how I feel. The next one, I may be out of, I'd only had so many of the sheets, but I'll make sure they have the link. But if those who have them can let people get the QR code on the last page with the ingredients, that's a folder that's full of all of the PDFs from all of my presentations up to this point. And I've got this one here, and I'll make sure it's out so people can get that QR code afterwards. This next one is called The Phantom, and that's the original name of it, so I didn't have to change it to make it spooky. The original is actually making a large amount. This was a 1.5 quart that you would make, so you would have it behind the fountain, and when someone wanted one, you would use 1 ounce or 2 of the Phantom syrup. And it's made of pineapple, orange flower water that I wasn't able to procure in time, orange syrup, and vanilla syrup. And so I have a mini version that makes just 1 glass. It's interesting because a lot of the formulas are meant to make almost 1 gallon or more for your pharmacist to have behind the counter at their soda fountain. So when I want to make just, some for me, because I may not like it and I don't want a gallon sitting around of something I'm not going to drink. So sometimes I have to figure out how to do the math and figure out the right proportions to make a smaller version. So that's what I've done.
Try it out at a Christmas party or something.
Pardon?
I said you could always try it out at like a holiday party and then.
Yes. I'm actually talking with some folks here in town that do the Goblin Market and some other events about doing a pure soda event where I can demonstrate some stuff, but where we can put out a bunch of the syrups and a bunch of the formulas and let people make their own. So at some point next year, we will want to do that. But so this one, a smaller version is, let me move that out of the way. Actually, that out of the way. And hopefully y'all can see this stuff. I realize it's kind of a small working area. 1.5 ounces of orange syrup, which has been over here hiding.
Were you saying that you were having a problem sourcing the orange flower water, or that you just didn't have a chance to get it?
I didn't have a chance to get it for this. I've gotten some before at a Mediterranean grocery.
Yeah, Mediterranean grocery stores and Indian grocery stores also have the orange flower water.
So this is 1.5. So I'll do half and then 1. So that's your orange syrup. Drop it there. I don't have the orange flower water, but in this case, it would be just a dash of it anyway. 1/2 ounce of pineapple. So more pineapple. They use pineapple syrup in a lot of stuff. And a lot of the garnishes were slices of pineapple. Actually,
That's a lot of things.
yeah.
And it was very, very exotic.
Exactly. That was the big selling point, was it was new and exotic. This particular formula is from 1915. And it was actually the book I got it from was 1915. So it'd probably been around 5, maybe 10 years beforehand. So it's 1/2 ounce of that, and then 1/4 of vanilla. I was mentioning to folks earlier, I'm kind of skipping the garnishes because that often takes a little more setup time than I have available. But this would have been probably had a slice of pineapple, or maybe some pineapple chunks in it. So what's interesting about this one is you can use it with either carbonated water or milk. So this one we're going to do with milk.
Did they commonly have pineapple back then? Because, you know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was all over the place. You almost couldn't have a sundae without some form of crushed pineapple being thrown on it one way or the other.
I mean, if you're saying that you have pieces, like, did they have, I mean, you're not gonna have, you know, international transport from, you know, tropical regions to grow pineapple.
Yeah, you would.
You would?
By the early 20th century?
Well, maybe
Yeah.
then, but-
Oh, yeah. Early 19th century, you know, early 1800s, maybe not as prevalent. But yeah, the world was getting smaller and smaller all the time. So let's see, this was, yeah, just says add milk. It said either add milk or sweet cream. We've already used cream with some other stuff. And then it says it also makes a good egg drink. So what you would have done was crack an egg in this, add some ice, and shake it in the shaker. Oh, yeah. Yep. There were entire categories of egg drinks. And these days, it's a little easier to have them because you've got pasteurized egg product and the eggs are cleaner to begin with. I know it sounds horrible, But the egg drinks are actually really, really good.
Yeah.
Really
Is
good.
it because the alcohol will cook the eggs or is it like wrong?
Pardon?
Is it like because the alcohol actually cooks the egg or is it because it's alcohol?
That I'm not sure about, alcohol cooking the egg, because a lot of these didn't have alcohol in them. You would just crack an egg straight. The process for an egg drink is you would crack an egg into the shaker, add a hunk of ice about the size of a walnut, add whatever other syrups, shake it. You would strain it so the ice stayed in. You didn't want it watered. You just want it both cold, and the ice would do the breaking, kind of scrambling the egg in the shaker. Then you would have your glass and your shaker, and you would pour them back and forth a couple of times to continue mixing it. Then you would add the carbonated water at the last step. So this one, I mean, it's good with the milk. It's also good with carbonated water. And we made it once with both carbonated water and a little sweet cream. And that was good too. Because these
Have
all
you
go
ever-
fast.
Had recipes that you made and they turn out to be sort of terrible.
Yes. Oh, this one's good. So, well, yeah.
Such as,
Tech issue. So the first one was one called a lunar blend. And it was complicated in that it was an egg drink, but you put the yolk in one, the white in another. You put, I believe it was cherry in with the yolk, lemon in with the white. You shook those separately, and then you floated one on top of the other. And the first time I tried it, it was horrible. It was really bad. The second time I gave it a shot, I did a better job of actually mixing everything, particularly shaking and breaking up the egg. That was actually better, but it was still not to my taste. Recently, I found a recipe for a mead, and they had a lot of meads that was not fermented honey. It was just a bunch of spices together. And it sounded good. So I spent the money and I got the essences of, the oils for all the various spices that were involved. And I mixed the proper proportions, and just the smell of it gave me a headache. And then I tried it and it was just instant spit take. And that went directly into the nope file. So I'm not going to try to demonstrate it. I'm not going to publicize that formula. It's out there if you want to find it. I'm going to stay very far away from it.
What was that one that was so bad?
It was called Our New Mead, and it was meant to be a non-alcoholic mead soda, and it was no, never. So any questions before I kind of charge on? So there's almost 20 people in here. At how late? Thank you. I really appreciate it. Last night I had maybe 3 for the Gothic Urn. Yeah, I mean, this was entirely last minute. So I'm really glad everybody was able to make it in person. Always glad to work with Bay Area K and do these virtually. Any questions from the online folks?
No questions from here. Kelp has
No
some
question.
egg white facts from gelatin, though. Pasteurized egg whites unfortunately don't make good meringues for chiffon pies. That's her fact.
Oh, huh. Somebody says that unfortunately the pasteurized egg whites don't make good chiffon for pies. It doesn't, I'm assuming the chemical composition has changed during the pasteurization process. So the next one, our grim grinning goblet, is actually a coffee frappe, which is why I have all of this that I'm not going to use much of. A lot of these call for a coffee syrup, and what I'll use is either a cold brew, or if I have a fresh espresso available, I'll use that. The way they made coffee back then was you would, at least one of the primary recipes I run across, you would take a bunch of beans from Java and then a bunch of coffee beans from Mocha, and you would grind those together. Mocha was a port in Yemen. So it was that particular type of coffee. So Yemeni coffee, Java coffee, grind them, mix them together. Then you would both percolate it down into coffee, but more often than not, you were percolating it into a pot full of sugar. And you would heat that up, and that would become your coffee syrup. So if somebody wanted a cup of coffee, you would pour the syrup in to a mug, add hot water, and then put it out with some sugar so they can adulterate it as they see fit. There was so much sugar in all this stuff. When you made a syrup, you would take the essence of whatever the flavor was, then basically boil it down with simple syrup, sugar and water. And that became your overall syrup. Then when you were mixing some of these drinks, you were adding more sugar to it. That's why I like using the modern syrups, is because they're nowhere near the amount of sugar going into these than they did back in the pharmacies.
Well, we have nothing keeping it from growing microbes that they didn't
Correct.
have.
Yes, it's much, much safer
They
now.
had to depend on the sugars to do it.
Yes. So the coffee, so it's 1 1/2 ounces coffee syrup. Let's see, does this get shaken? Yeah. So another one of the disposable cocktail shakers. So 1 1/2 coffee. So full one of these is 1 1/2. The white of 1 egg, which in this case I'm using an egg white pasteurized product. And that's basically an ounce of this equals 1 egg white. Then it says 1 and 1/2 ounces. It says 1 to 1 1/2. No, it's 1 1/2 ounces of sweet cream. So your heavy whipping cream. And I will admit, I really prefer sodas that have both egg white and cream in them for this really silky mouthfeel you get from all of that working together. So that goes in. So here. And then it says a, let's see. This also requires a small amount of shaved ice. What's the old cooking show gag? Here's some I prepared earlier. I have an actual ice shaver, which is something like this. And it's got basically razor blades of a sort inside the lid. And you put the lid down and crank it to shake. No batteries, no USB connections, just nice and simple. So you put the shaved ice in to both cool it down, and originally if this was an actual egg white straight out of the egg, you would want to break that up with everything else. So let's see, what did it say? Leave the contents in the shaker. Now fill the shaker 2/3 full using the fine stream only. So did I use up all of that one? Oh, no. There's still some in here. Okay. So once again, thumb over the bottle. That gets you the fine stream. Now, in the fountain, you just had the arm, like a beer tap, that you would pull to dispense the carbonated water. There were two speeds. There was the fine stream, which is basically what I just did there, where there was a lot of pressure. Then there was the coarse stream that was just pouring the water straight in. And a lot of these call for both. You'd want to use the fine stream to mix everything up, and then the coarse stream to just finish filling the glass. So this one, oh yeah, it just basically toss back and forth. And then it says strain into a clean glass, but I'll just use this one because, oh, it's my last. I realized I forgot to grab some extra glasses from back there. But you strain that. And what's interesting is it says serve at once and without straws. The drink should be drunk at once, else it will settle and lose its lightness and richness. This drink is probably the finest and richest of all soda fountain beverages. It is a fine drink for a special. It is sold at 15 cents. This means a good profit, and it will win you many friends. It requires practice to make this drink nicely, and I advise that you try making it a few times before trying to serve. Coffee will be found to be a most excellent ingredient for many other fancy drinks, and it is hoped that these few suggestions will help you in preparing some new trade winners. And that is from the Spatula magazine, and this was 1903. It didn't have the month specified. The Spatula was a drugstore magazine. They would use spatulas to mix the drugs. And it was just a fantastic little trade engine for driving business. And they would actually offer advertising cuts that you could buy that they featured in their magazine, but you could buy them from the Spatula so you could use them when you're purchasing newspaper advertising in your local town paper. Try this one, particularly since it is coffee and it is late. So yeah, it does have that watery fizziness that you get from the carbonated water, but all the other flavors really mix well together. It's a lighter coffee flavor than you would expect. So I have time for one more. Oh, you have a question?
What's egg creams?
Pardon?
What started like egg creams?
Something like this. There was a formula. The very first soda I made for myself was one called a Piff Paff Puff. And it was basically an ounce of chocolate syrup, sweet cream, and 1 egg white. And you whipped all that up together before you added the carbonated water. That was magnificent. It's really light and fluffy, and both the egg white and the cream give it a really silky mouthfeel. And if you use a really good chocolate, it's heaven. That's an actual egg cream because it's got egg and cream in it. Normally, they would be made with a whole egg, not just the white. In New York, what is considered a classic egg cream is Fox's You Bet chocolate syrup, milk, and carbonated water. There's no egg, there's no cream. But it's mimicking those original drinks. This one is just, to put it bluntly, watered down chocolate milk. I prefer the old school. So the last one I'm going to make is another one that is normally done in a big batch. And this is called Old Fashioned Nectar. And the first time I made it, we actually put it in one of those large, like lemonade jars that has the spout on it. Did this at my assistant's house. And instead of taking it with me, I just left it for her and her roommates. And her roommates drained the jar in like 3 days. And I've not had a chance to do it as a demonstration in front of folks. But it's another one that makes a huge amount. And it's basically a gallon because it calls for a pint of cherry syrup, a pint of lemon, pint of orange, some red food coloring, 2 pints of pineapple, 2 pints of raspberry. So I'm going to do just a small, I think I can mix it in one of these. But let's see. So for an ounce of cherry, I'm going to use this again. Oh, and I think earlier somebody asked about green cherries, and it was really just cherries that were dyed green. The modern ones you can get as like cocktail garnishes. There's a company, oh gosh, is it Royal? I think it's Royal. And their green ones are lime flavored. And they have purple ones that are like burgundy flavored and stuff like that. And I tend to stay away from those because the lime, particularly if it's a really heavy lime, it's going to completely blow the flavor of whatever it is you're trying to do. So an ounce of that, I can use this, ounce of lemon syrup. And there it is. So ounce of lemon. And orange. Glug. Then 2 ounces of pineapple and raspberry. So here's the pineapple. Well, just use that. So 2 of these. Whoop. Maybe I should wear eye protection. Now it calls for 2 ounces of raspberry, and I have this raspberry, which is just basic standard, but I also have this French raspberry that I haven't opened yet. Should I try that? Try it with this?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So it's another 2 ounces. So it's an interesting color. Oh, but it smells so good. So there's the lid. So in this case, you would put them in a small jar or bottle. And since I didn't have any like mason jars or anything, I'll put it in this. And to mix it, I'm going to shake it. And then I don't have any of these larger plastic cups. Do they have any larger ones in the back? I mean, I've got these, so yeah. Because what we want is really just an ounce of this mixed. And actually, in this small one, an ounce might be too much, but we'll see. So that, and you fill it with carbonated water, and very little left in there. Pardon? The jar, it's Sifo. Sifo seltzer. I get these at Publix. And they are unflavored. It is just pure carbonated water, which is good on its own, but it's really useful for stuff like this. And actually, let me do this. Add a little more. We'll divide it, mix it a little more. We can divide it into, and then add a little more each. But that is your old-fashioned nectar, or at least the newfangled nectar for the smaller version. And this is something that would be really good to mix up in a batch for a party. And you would just have it in a jar, and you have some carbonated water, and let people mix it themselves. So, any questions? Pardon? I don't have any straws, but we do have these little cups up here. So if y'all want to come up, if there aren't any questions live, y'all can come up and try these.
I guess I sort of have one more question.
Sure.
When you say like syrup, like how do you know like if syrup is as concentrated as it would be, 100 years ago? I mean, I can imagine like syrups, maybe it's like half the strength or double the strength, and then it drastically change the recipe.
The only way you're going to know is to make them exactly the way they did back then and try the two together. And I've just not had a chance to do that yet. I want to. What I'd love to be able to do is make my own essences using glycerin instead of alcohol, since I'm allergic to alcohol. And then from those essences, make my own syrups. And there's a fantastic sugar substitute called allulose that you can use 1-to-1 with sugar. And it comes as liquid, crystallized, doesn't do a thing to your system. The body doesn't process it. So it just goes on, doesn't up your blood sugar, doesn't do anything to you, no calories, no carbs, no nothing. And I've used it in a couple of sodas, and it's wonderful.
And what other stuff did they serve this with? Like, was there like some, variation on a burger that also was only made 100 years ago?
Well, all of this was made 100 years ago.
Right. No, I'm saying like, if with these 100 years ago, like with the soda that doesn't exist now, is it like, a burger that doesn't exist now?
Oh, yeah.
Or
There's all kinds of stuff that, as say restaurants closed, the recipes that they used didn't get passed along. The only way I found these is that these trade publications had been collected and bound and ended up in libraries. So you have to hold on to that knowledge, otherwise it will be lost. But yeah, y'all come up and try these. There's some cups there. And if you only want a small sip, there are these, the little 1 ounce. And any online questions, but how much time do we have?
20 minutes, because I think we're not
Oh, good.
to stop until 10 o'clock my time.
Cool. So we've got 20 minutes left for the online.
is the lower the ice cream in it?
Yeah. But yeah, let me know what you think. But so I'll put, this is my copy of the formulas. I'll put it here on the chair next to my business cards. So if you want to scan the QR code, that'll take you to a folder that has all of the previous demonstrations as PDFs.
Which one is the red one?
That one was the Outlook Highball, the first one I did. And if folks made these along at home, I would love to see pictures and see what y'all came up with. And if you've experimented with these after trying them, I'd love to hear what you've come up with. And are there any
So
other?
what other stuff did they have that was like the equivalent of like burgers and hot dogs and such?
They had, well, anything you can think of that being in a diner, a lunch counter, they would have those. They'd have the sandwiches. They'd have, they did a lot of hot sodas, and some of those included like clam broth and more like soups than sodas, but it was all just hot water and stuff like that.
So what are the
Pardon?
what are the flavors that you have on as options to try?
Oh, okay. So things have gotten shuffled. I believe this is the coffee frappe. Yeah, that's the Outlook highball. I only did so many of those because I wasn't sure how many people were going to be here. This far exceeded my expectations for something this late at night
Wait,
on a
this is the
Friday.
chocolate one, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's the cream puff that has the chocolate in it.
What are these?
That's the coffee frappe. This is the I'm blanking on the name of it. Let's see. This is the. Let's see. Oh, that's the glad we're here.
Oh wait, that's not the chocolate.
No, that's the chocolate that somebody just picked up. The glad we're here.
Oh, cool. And then what are?
So that's the coffee frappe,
Oh yeah, sorry.
and this is the old fashioned nectar.
And then what's this?
I think that's the glad we're here.
Sorry, I know I'm slow on the uptake.
Oh no, that might be the Phantom, or somebody has the Phantom. Phantom was the one with milk. That's the Phantom.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, there's,
Which one's the coffee?
Oh, thank you.
Coffee left?
yeah. Oh yeah. Here,
And this.
this is the coffee frappe. So I'm not trying to ignore our online contingent. Are there any questions?
No questions on this end. We've got more Kelp facts. She says that certain drinks we might call milkshakes are called cabinets in some parts of the U.S. And one of the main theories is because it's the blender was housed in a cabinet.
Oh no, that's good. Somebody mentioned that what we call milkshakes are often called cabinets in other parts of the country because often the shaker was housed in a cabinet. But the original milkshakes were literally just milk and a flavor shaken together. That was it. And there's a great one called Fluffy Ruffles. That's a half ounce of chocolate, a half ounce of coffee, and milk. And you shake that together. And that is lovely. Actually, I've done some demos live where what was left over was just a little bit of the Fluffy Ruffles and a little bit of the Piff Paff Puff. And those together, magnificent. Lots of extra chocolate, lots of extra cream. And I have one little lonely bottle of seltzer floating in ice water. Actually, there's, I think, another one. Yeah, I do have some more in there, along with my very melty ice cream. I got to figure out what I'm going to do with the very melted ice cream. Probably something to do with this.
This is delicious.
Oh, good. Is everybody liking what they're trying? Okay.
So far, that first one is awesome.
The Outlook highball, the red one? Yeah.
Why don't we try some of the,
And
what's that last one you
a
made?
little more syrup. The old fashioned nectar. And actually, I'm goosing it with a little more syrup here.
I want to try a little bit of that.
Bonnie's suggesting that you can call the combined Piff Paff Puff and Fluffy Ruffles Ruffle Puff.
Yes. Yeah, somebody said online that the combined Fluffy Ruffles and the Piff Paff Puff should be called, was it a Fluffy Puff or a Ruffle Puff?
Ruffle Puff.
Ruffle Puff. Yeah, I like that.
Well.
And Kelp says that Kelp says that if you add gelatin to melted ice cream, it can help fix it.
Oh, add gelatin to the melted ice cream. But I doubt I can
Didn't bring
trust
your gelatin?
the hotel refrigerator at this point for what's left of the ice cream. So I've got to come up with something fast. In fact, I missed. I do have another shaker, and I'm going to add an ounce of chocolate. And I'm going to pour, well, I will scoop it, but here's that, some of the leftover ice cream. Right.
It's chocolate and ice cream, how can it not be, right?
And I will put this back in here.
That's the glad we're here, right?
Which one?
The one you're making?
No, I am experimenting.
Okay.
Should I put my lab coat on for this?
Yes, definitely.
I brought it, but it was too hot in here to wear it.
Some
And I
safety
never-
goggles.
Turned up the light all the way. Oh yeah, it needs. It'll need a little cream because I can. Oh come on! It's already gotten pressure, suction holding it.
Which one was the glad you were here?
I think it was that one. At this point, yeah, they got out of order, so I'm not sure exactly which was which now.
I think it's this one. There's a little up right.
So, full ice cream, and if I have
So far, that last one.
Yeah.
a little bit of ice.
So you said you've been talking to the Goblin Market people about doing something?
Yes.
Would it be at the Goblin Market or would it be?
No, it's a separate event. In fact, it might be, say, coffee, tea, and soda. Just all of that together. Yes. Because I've been at the Goblin Market, and we have been talking about, I want to do an event like this that's just, focused on this, and not just, an hour here and an hour there. And I think it would be neat if I was able to have more than enough syrups for people so they can come up with their own combinations or mix their own and see what it was like to do so.
Generic soft drinks were available, other flavors, I syrup, and I love.
We would do that at any place that had a soda fountain, but particularly at the
When they had seltzer soda fountains, when they started doing that was the most amazing thing.
at the
That wasn't always seltzer.
roller rink. We would call them suicides, and we just whoop.
That's what we call them.
That's always fun.
And called it playing math sciences.
Yeah, you just go down the row and get it. Now, what's interesting is some places. Well, there goes the other earbud. Mix more of the chocolate in here. But if you look at some of just the normal fountains, some have a water that's off one of like the lemonade or something like that. Some actually have a soda water tap. Not many, but they are out there.
10-minute warning for our end.
Okay. So I have 10 minutes left virtually, but there's nobody behind me here. So I can take my time cleaning up. Oh, well, this is really messy.
And Monty is suggesting a signature drink for the
Oh, that would be great.
Market,
Thank you.
called the Goblin Grog.
Ooh, Goblin Grog is being suggested. What would be in a Goblin Grog?
Bonnie, what would be in a Goblin Grog? We had to wait for her to answer.
Oh, you're laughing.
Thank you.
She says goblins.
Just goblins in the Goblin Grog. It would have to be
Goblins in
green,
the-
whatever it was.
and 10 maraschino cherries.
Try that. Because I've not added any other carbonated water to it or anything. It's purely just
Thank you, sir.
ice cream, a little cream, and the chocolate. Isn't that good?
Uh-oh.
One thing that I can't really do here in a room like this is everything needs to be really, really cold as possible. And having, my SIFO on ice kind of works, but it really needs to be literally as cold as humanly possible. And of course, when you do that, the ice cream doesn't melt.
Right.
Oh, my husband's like, have y'all left yet?
Nope,
No, honey, we're still at the con.
we're still here.
Fine, just checking.
I should have put more gloves on. I keep forgetting how sticky all this gets.
Now, this has been really fun.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you all for coming. I'm really, really happy with the amount of people that were here this late.
I found a book of cold soda stuff on archive.org. Did you look there?
Oh yeah, that's where a lot of these come from. Both Google Books and archive.org. Each at the bottom of each listing is the source. Yeah.
I gotta fix some of that old fashioned for a party though.
Yeah, I mean it's perfect. And I mean to be honest, yes, you can add alcohol to them if you like.
Yeah. It's
I just don't, but that's
like
because
just
I'm
have a
allergic.
thing of syrup, 'cause, like,
Oh
you
yeah,
make a great mocktail
yes,
that.
yes. I've had people suggest that I need to open a sober bar and just do stuff like this.
It would be.
Yeah. Somebody finance it, I'll do it. Or if I won the lottery,
Right.
I don't know, the drawing was at 11. I hadn't been paying attention. Yeah, I'm just gonna pitch these because they are
Finding
messy.
old sodas and recreating them. That's really cool.
I mean, you don't have to do a lot to recreate. I mean,
And I took a picture of some old fashioned. That was good old fashioned.
thank you. So anything else from the stream?
I'm checking to see if anyone has any last minute questions. I think we're just all watching and being jealous.
See, all of your local events need to invite me to come out and do this live. So you can
We're
actually
conspiring.
taste these things.
Maybe next pop up or something.
Maybe. Oh no, this is going to be good.
This was last minute too. I didn't know that. It was really last
I mean, I've been
minute for
doing
us.
these before,
Yeah.
but I was already scheduled to do this online for these folks,
Yeah.
these fine folks at Bay OK, which I would have been doing from my hotel room in the La Quinta, which isn't set up like this. I wouldn't have had such a nice table and an appreciative audience on both sides of the camera. So I'm glad I got to do this. And this will be, the coffee will be very helpful for me cleaning all this up.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I probably won't be sleeping until 3-ish.
Well, you have an extra hour.
I have an extra hour. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you. I'm assuming we already fell back? Or is it
Time
at
to
2?
redo the panel.
Yeah, well, I got to start over again. Okay, everybody come back. Let me, well, I'm out of cups and I'm running very low on the
Ice is melting.
the disposable cocktail shakers. I'm actually doing this again next weekend at TeslaCon in Wisconsin, which means I need to get some more disposable cocktail shakers quickly.
This has been awesome.
Oh, well, no, thank you. And congratulations.
Thank you.
We're at Conjuration here in Atlanta, and there's a couple here that got married this weekend here at the show, and they sat in on the panel.
Congratulations.
Left the wedding. to go.
Everybody saying congratulations over the live stream. So
Thank you. It's been 6 years coming.
yeah, 6 years coming.
Yeah, we met at this con 6 years ago.
Oh, great. They met at the show 6 years ago.
That's so
So
sweet.
they figured it was perfect. Well, thank you all very much. I really appreciate it. The last of the chocolate and the ice cream. Just foam left in the bottom of the. It's like, will anybody want a huge thing of milk? Anybody watching that's here in Atlanta that can get down to the Atlanta Hilton in the next 5 minutes? Or the airport Hilton. There's plenty of other Atlanta Hiltons, so I don't want you to show up to the wrong place.
We've been joking that for all of the Lolita events we've been doing, they're all at Hyatt's.
I hadn't thought about that, but yeah.
We're like, oh, Hyatt should sponsor us.
They should. I mean, how many Hyatt points are y'all getting now?
Well, we just
That's always nice.
We just realized this, so we only just started. But
Oh, okay.
But you know, the Nightshade was at a Hyatt, and then we did a Hyatt for Fanime, but also for Royal Vegas, MGM Grand is a Hyatt, and the Kabuki is also Hyatt.
I did not know that about the MGM. That's interesting. I've not been to Vegas in a very long time.
There was a Lolita convention there last year.
Right. I had thought about trying to make it, but it just didn't work with my overall schedule.
Next time.
Yeah, one thing I will recommend is join every single loyalty program for hotels and travel, because you never know when the next event is going to be somewhere that you can use those points or build up points to help you with future travel.
Yeah, hot tip for everybody.
Yes.
Oh, Kelp does have a question.
Sure.
Have you done any research on the classic Japanese retro drink, the melon cream soda?
Ooh, no, I have not. I
It's like
know
a
of
great
it,
one, right?
but I've not had a chance to look into it. But I will add that to my list.
Yeah.
At Dragon Con, I had a bottle of Ramui just as a demonstrator to show how the early soda bottles used that marble device to keep the pressure in. Those were called cod bottles, CODD. And to open them with the Ramui, there's the little plastic cap that you would use to pop it open. The older ones, there was a little wooden device that, just you held in the palm of your hand. And it had, it was open around the outside, and it had that little post in the middle to poke down into the bottle and dislodge the marble. That was called a wallop.
A wallop.
So that's a cod's wallop. That's where that term came from.
Amazing.
And I actually found a cod's wallop. I've got it. It's at home. I didn't think to bring it with me for here. Now I need to find an actual cod bottle, because you can find them out there with the marbles still in them. They're harder and harder to find like that because the kids would break them open to get the marbles. So finding an intact cod bottle is not incredibly rare, but it's not something you'll just run across every day.
Kelp says that she was also doing some research on the bottles. Apparently there's a big brand in South Asia that still uses them.
Oh, cool. I mean, I just know of the Ramui.
Yeah,
But
have to
I
do a
love those
gelatin
marbles.
and soda collaboration or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I loved all of the Jello month y'all did.
Jelly July.
Yeah. All that looked fantastic. I didn't get a chance to make everything, but let's see what's left here for me to drink.
Well,
So this
we
is
also
what's
are
left of
at 10 p.m. for us.
Okay. Y'all have other programming. Y'all have to go.
And I think
I have
all the questions.
a lot here to clean up. Actually, let me shift this to the side
Good luck.
and
Wish we could
show
help.
the table.
Very successful though. That was successfully like just demolished.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, that's what's left of the Outlook highball. This was I believe the Glad We're Here. And I think that's what's left of the coffee frappe. And then that's it. Everything else was empty.
Amazing.
So the fact that there were over 20 people in here that started at 11:45 blows me away.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm like, I know it's late for you guys, so I'm really glad that they all got to experience it.
I talked it up today, but they had added it to their online schedule, so people saw it. But I didn't think that many people would actually come by, which
Well,
is
it's lucky
great.
for them.
Hopefully that will convince the showrunners to invite me back next year. That's my hope, is that I'll actually get invited places to do this instead of having to pay all my own expenses.
Yeah, that's the dream.
The syrups get expensive. I keep forgetting to put out like a tip jar that says syrup fund, because
Maybe
this,
like
I mean, that's all these grocery trips add up, particularly when I don't get to finish all of this stuff. I hate having to pitch it. But the milk will go in the ice-filled backpack cooler and go back with me to the hotel.
Yeah.
But I will let y'all go. Thank y'all for hanging out with me for another fun soda demo.
Thank you so
I
much.
always have a great time. Yeah, but whatever y'all need, just let me know. Always a pleasure.
Okay, good luck with cleaning up.
Thank you. Hopefully it'll go fast.
Okay. I'm gonna end the panel. So goodbye, good luck, and we'll
Bye,
go on to the
everybody.
next one.
Have a great night.